lovely people, and welcome back to this week's new video. I am here with a sit-down video that I haven't done in a long time, but I thought it would be kind of fun to look at all the books that I have on my physical TBR just to sort of shove them in my face and make sure that I read them. I'm pretty sure it's not as much as other people have. I've seen other videos where they have over 100, which I cannot believe. I don't think I could ever have that just because of like shelf space. That's like number one. But hello, if you're new here, my name's Noah. I create bookish and lifestyle content here. So if you find, I forgot my intro. I haven't done this in so long. I have all the books on piles around me right now, but I do have a makeshift shelf on top of my dresser there, and also on this little cabinet here where I keep my unread books. I have them separated into genre right now, and then the book of the month books are a separate thing in and of itself. I won't talk about all of them, maybe a little bit of a backstory for some of them, but this is going to be a little bit of a walk of shame for myself. It's also like freezing today, even though it's spring. For some reason it's like 29 degrees or -2 Celsius, I think. So even though it's spring, I thought the pastel color would be good for spring, but also it's still a really cute, cozy little sweater. Getting into the first book that I have, this is historical fiction, The Whispers of War by Julia Kelly. I won this as a Goodreads giveaway. It says in February of 2020. It says it's a review copy, so I don't know if it's like an ARC or not. It would say if it was. I think I've read something by Julia Kelly, or I've definitely heard of this book and saw it when it was first published, and I had been interested, so that's why it was really cool that I won this in a giveaway. The next book is the only sci-fi book I have on my shelf. At least I think it's sci-fi. It's Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which I know is a series. I bought this during COVID. It looks really intimidating, but I feel like because it's mixed media, it should be a really quick one. Why I haven't read it, your guess is as good as mine. I have two horror books, surprise, surprise. The first one is actually a recent purchase. This is The Deep by Nick Cutter. After really loving The Troop, because I read it during reading Gabby's favorite books, my boyfriend is now currently reading that book, and I hope he likes it. I thought, why not, because I really liked that book, get into more of Nick Cutter's writing. So I bought this, I think last month. And I bought this during book shopping with my friend Samantha. This is The Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig, which I had been planning on reading in October, but I had too many library books or something that prevented me from doing so. I'm sort of waiting to read this during October again, even though I know I probably shouldn't. That's why it's been on my shelf for so long. I got this at Books Are Magic. I also have two romance books. This one I bought, I think maybe 3 years ago, How to Fail at Flirting by Denise Williams, and apparently this is like trending or going around on Book Talk, which is why I see a lot more people reading it, or people on BookTube talking about this, but I hadn't heard anybody else read this, but I picked this up as a whim off one of the shelves. This one was a pre-order, and it's One Night on the Island by Josie Silver. I really loved One Day in December, which is why I pre-ordered this, and I'm hoping that this is just as cute and good and easy. So I really want to get to this before the year is over. At least I feel like it'd be a really good summer read as well. This I purchased even before How to Fail at Flirting, so this might actually be 3 years ago or 4 possibly. This is a classic, Lord of the Flies by William Golding. I never read this in high school. I know people at my school did, but depending on which teacher you had, you didn't read this for English. It was like $10, so I was like, oh cool, why not? I don't really love classics. It was just the price point, and that's when I left Barnes & Noble with like a huge bag of stuff. I don't know if I would ever get to this, but I feel like the premise of it is really intriguing, and I've seen movies and read books that are retelling of this book. I also have two nonfiction books on here. I had made it a goal for myself to read at least 5 nonfiction books this year, and I think I've only read 1, so these books will definitely help. The first one I bought with Book of Accidents as well, and this is She Said by Jodie Cantor and Megan Twohey, which was a recommended read to me by someone new that I met over the summer, and this is also becoming a movie or something like that. These two journalists were investigating Harvey Weinstein, and that it sort of became about the Me Too movement. This was sent to me by Penguin, or rather Dutton. This is Rogues Gallery by John Aller, because I like true crime, which was like really amazing. So this is a book for review. They said I don't have a timeline for this, which is why I haven't picked it up yet. I do believe that it was sent to me in January. It's kind of a chunky one, which makes it a lot more intimidating because it's about true crime, like back in the day in the 1870s, and how cops were operating literally during the Gilded Age. So I'm sort of nervous. I think it would be really interesting to see how things were done back then. Let's go into my book of the month stack of shame. I guess I should go from the books that are on here that are the oldest. The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell from November of 2019. I ordered 3 books in this box. The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes, also from November of 2019. I ordered this as an add-on, Rogue of One's Own by Evie Dunmore. This is the sequel to Bringing Down the Duke, which I also got from Book of the Month. I believe there's already a 3rd book for this as well. This is a free one that they do for the Book of the Year, so you get to pick one of the selections. So this was the 2021 Book of the Year, Kristen Hanna's Four Winds, which is also historical fiction. And my most recent Book of the Month pick for March, it's still March, so this counts even though it's quickly coming to an end. This is The Cartographers by Peng Shepherd, which is a fantasy book. Getting into the larger categories, I have 3 left. I have my contemporary shelf, The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I did start reading this in 2018 or 2019. I kind of needed to put it down, so it's technically a DNF for that year, but I do want to read this eventually, but I just wasn't enjoying it as much as The Secret History. These 2 books, Conversations with Friends and Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. This was a hugely anticipated read for me. Why I haven't gotten to it, I really am not sure, but I also found this in my little free library. Normal People was my favorite book of 2020, so I really hope to get to these books soon, especially because this one is being adapted into a television show. I also found this in my little free library. This is Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. I bought this relatively recently, An Emotion of Great Delight by Tahada Mafi. I've only read her Shatter Me series, and I know that she has a few other books out that are contemporary and a new fantasy series, which I am interested in. It is about a Muslim family in New York City post 9/11. I won this in a Goodreads giveaway as well. This is an arc of How Beautiful We Were by Imbolo Mwe. I also kind of love this cover. I know that there are different editions, but I love this one. And the last one I also found in my little free library, which is amazing, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. Very popular read, Reese's Book Club. I also am looking forward to the adaptation for this, also mainly because I love Reese Witherspoon, but also I love Daisy Edgar Jones' After Normal People. I definitely want to watch Fresh. I kind of want to get into the fantasy books as opposed to the mystery thriller, because that's my favorite genre, even though I think I have the most fantasy books that are unread, because I'm not the biggest fantasy reader. I had to buy the new novella, and then I ended up buying the other novella bind-ups. I would really like to do a reread of the entire series before reading this, just so that everything is kind of fresh in my mind. I have The Keeper of the Night by Kylie Lee Baker, which was released this year or last year. I had seen it on Book of the Month and had known that I would definitely be interested in this. It is about a half British Reaper and a half Japanese Shinigami, and taking place in London. I have a few sequels on here as well. The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. The Poppy War is possibly my favorite adult fantasy book. I haven't read that many, so I can't say that, but usually with fantasy books I give the first book 3 stars because I'm just sort of getting into the world, and the second book I start to really enjoy things more because I'm already immersed into the world. However, with Poppy War, which I read for reading Nina's favorite books, I was just already there and I gave that book 4 stars, so I couldn't wait to read this, and I know that I need to purchase the last book as well. Also, I read from Mina's favorite books Jade City, which is why I have a Jade War. I need to find Jade Legacy. I can't find it at my local Barnes & Noble, so I'll need to order it. These are so dusty. I also need to read Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. I feel like I'm not really rushing with this, but also it'd be cool to read this right before season 2 of the show comes out, because I know it'll focus a little bit more on Nikolai. This is so so much more chunky than I remember. This whole series I really would like to purchase. I should have probably purchased the box set. I need to continue on with the Infernal Devices series. This is book 2, Clockwork Prince. I read Clockwork Angel, reading Hannah's favorite books, and really loved that, so that's why I have this. And also the Mortal Instruments book 1, City of Bones, which I'm debating whether or not I want to start it or include it in one of my Smash or Pass videos. I just need to narrow down like who I should do it for. This whole series, this whole world rather, I would really like to purchase everything. Should have done that all at once because they have these beautiful spines that all line up. The last fantasy series that I have, it's in a box set. That's why it's so hard. Oh, look at this. It looks like that. This is Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I have read the first 2 books, Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight, which I borrowed from the library. After like falling in love with that second book, I decided to go out and buy the series in the store. Like why I thought I should do that, I don't know. It was very heavy and I was doing a lot of walking that day. I still need to read The Assassin's Blade, which I don't really know the timing that I should read this because I know it's a novella. So I don't know if I should like save this for last or like read this before I start back into the 3rd book. Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows. These books get so much thicker as the series goes on, reminding me of Harry Potter. Oh my god, this is so big. Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and lastly, Kingdom of Ash. I have never read any of her books. I know I was really behind on this. I think people were reading this in like middle school. I don't know why I decided to start this on a whim, but I really am enjoying it. I would rather not reread the first 2 books, even though it has been a long time since I've read the series, possibly over a year ago. I feel like I remember it enough to get into it, so I might start off with Assassin's Blade, the novellas, before getting into the rest of them, and then I think I want to just read them all at once. The thing with fantasy is that I forget a lot of details, which is why it's hard for me to like read new releases. I'd rather just read them all back to back and catch up after everyone has hyped it up so much. I want to get more into fantasy, but I'm always going to be really behind. Anyway, getting into the last category of mystery thrillers. This top one I've had for so long because it's book 12 in the Lincoln Rhyme series, The Steel Kiss by Jeffrey Deaver, and I don't even know where I'm up to. I think I'm on book 8. And I didn't know that this book was the 12th one when I saw it. I just had been reading that series and it seemed perfect that this beautiful undamaged copy was there. I don't have to read them in order, but I kind of just would rather that I did. Anonymous Girl by Sarah Pekkanen and Greer Hendricks. What Comes After by Joanne Tompkins is an arc that I found in my little free library as well. I haven't seen too many people reading it, but I thought it was kind of fitting that it was a book on my TBR on Goodreads. This is my newest arc that I showed in a vlog, Things We Do in the Dark by Jennifer Hillier, which is an anticipated read for me for this year, which is really cool. This is coming out in July, so I do have some time before I want to get into it, and it's really cool because this is a glow-in-the-dark cover. The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James was a pre-order, so I'm not too behind on this, and it was just released this month. This is a book that was my dad's, I think. Somebody gave it to him. That person was gifted this book, so it has like a note in it and everything, but it's a translated book out by Natsuo Kirino, and it says it's the winner of Japan's Top Mystery Award. I just have it here because my dad had it. I don't even know if he read it or not. The last book is Tana French's The Searcher. Oh my god, there's just so much dust that's coming out of everything. I've read every single book by Tana French, and for some reason I had no idea that this was coming out, that this was going to be a new release. When I saw this, I bought this when I got the Book of Accidents and She Said. I just couldn't pass up the opportunity on getting this. I don't see a lot of people reading Tana French books, but I really love her. Her series, most of them follow perspectives of cops, which is I think a factor because I see a lot of the people who like mystery on here don't like that, and I kind of do. I can't wait to get into this. I should get through with these. I have a total of, I believe, 41 books. There will be more because I have some pre-orders that are coming. I have pre-ordered books until June, and then I'll start with July books coming up in probably May or something. I think that for April and May I should stop borrowing books from the library because I already do have a few on hold, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 these 8 books out from the library right now, which always take priority because they have due dates. I think I just need to practice a little bit of self-control and focus on these books before buying some of my own. I'm gonna figure out how to do the thumbnail for this, and I will see you all in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.